What's up, y'all? We hope you enjoyed our episode with Jason Negron. Little extra bonus content for you guys. Gabby, the much anticipated Air Jordan 35 is set to release. And we, here at the Kicks and Shit Show, got some early access, a little early preview to what will be available October 17th to the worldwide public of the Air Jordan 35. So we're going to talk about it now.
I like it. I mean, I think these are cool. And you and I have talked about this before, where I think the average Jordan fan usually stops around 13, 14 in terms of what they really know about in terms of the numbers. But as Jordan's gotten up into the 30s, I think they've created a whole new vibe for the sneaker. Not only are they functional, but they're also really fashionable. So I'm super hyped about these 35s.
Correct. And as you know, the 34s were extremely popular. They were well received by the market. We were in Chicago earlier this year, and we got to see the 34, the Chicago edition that the Final Four high school boys were wearing, and I was like, yo, these are fire. And what I love about them so much is that they had a nod to kind of old school, right? Like as sneakers move, and this is something that Jordan Brand talked about when I was speaking with them. What is the balance between forward, because Jordan Brand's all about innovation and looking forward, but also paying homage to what came before, and it's a delicate balance, right? And that's what I love so much about the 34s is that it definitely looked new because of the Eclipse Plate and all that stuff, but it kind of reminded me of like it looks like a pair of Flights possibly, or it had a little bit of that old school feel to it, and the 35s are similar.
Well, yeah, and what I like best about the 35s are the nod to the Air Jordan 5, especially with the oversized tongue. Even the back sole of it, the shape, it just has that vintage nod, but it's been like dropped, flipped, and reversed. And I love the colorway. It's got the bubble in the middle still with that 2.0 technology. I think these are super dope. I'm really into these.
So, as you know, when Jason and I were talking about when you get that FedEx package, right? So I got that email and I was like, "Oh, FedEx package is coming." So then I get a little FedEx box and we're gonna pull it out right now.
Deliveries.
Delivery came, right? So here we go. Yeah,
Ooh, okay with the box. I like the box.
Right. Okay, so these are the actual AJ35s in the Center of Gravity colorway, which is the colorway that's the first one that's going to drop for everyone to see, right? Like here they are. I mean, it is a fire shoe. I want to be clear about something that, as I said, they have a couple other colorways that will come out. So they're going to have the Warrior colorway, which is a solid black with a red stripe that goes this way. Rui Hachimura wears those. He's another Jordan Brand athlete. Those will be available on October 21st. Then there is the DNA colorway, and the DNA colorway is basically the heritage, and we know what that is. That's that red, that's that black, the white, right? That's going to be like the breads, the color that like everyone knows Jordan Brand to be synonymous with. Those are going to be out on November 11th. Zion Williamson, we also know is a Jordan Brand athlete. The Bayous, his will be out November 30th, and those have a nod to obviously him playing down in New Orleans. And what they have going on down there. New Orleans, by the way, one of the great American cities. I mean, oh man, like I'll tell you what, you go to New Orleans, you're gonna come back, you're gonna gain 5 pounds when you're down there because the food is just exquisite. Anyway,
so worth it though.
100% worth it. And then there's Jordan Brand has a Chinese basketball player by the name of Guo Aliun. I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right. He has a special colorway called the Morpho of again these 35s. And it's white, purple tongue, aqua blue in the Eclipse Plate area over here. But back to the Center of Gravity. So the Eclipse Plate that we see here, this was in the 34s, right? That was the first time that they debuted. As you know, Jordan Brand is big on performance, right? The performance is the most important thing for them. Kia Nurse, Jason Tatum, Rui Hachimura, all the Zion, everybody who plays in these shoes were like, yo, we love that Eclipse Plate because it gives us so much bounce and also stability while we're on the court and we're going up for rebounds, etc. And so the designers were like, okay, you like the Eclipse Plate? Well, we'll modify it, make it a little bit better for the 35. So it's the Eclipse Plate 2.0. The other piece, as we know, in the heel, it's got the Zoom technology, right? And it's Zoom 2.0. So that's that extra cushion, right, that we need here. Because look, basketball's an impact sport, right? Like, I mean, that's a lot of shock on that body. So it's nice to have something that is going to keep you secure, but also absorb some of that shock when you come down. So that's in the keel, the Zoom 2.0. Also, supreme traction here on the sole, right? Because you got to stop, start, cut. So that herringbone, and that is the most traction in terms of patterns for a sole. And then for you Nike sneakerheads out there, Nike has something called Flightwire, right? And that's that soft technology that, because the thing about it is, if you're playing basketball, unless you're LeBron, like you don't want your shoe to be too heavy, right? Like you probably want a light shoe, but the problem is when you get a light shoe, oftentimes you sacrifice support and stability, right? Because the material, in order to make it light, we can't put heavy material on there. All right, well, Nike's like, okay, we like the Flywire. We're going to take, Jordan Brand's going to do Flightwire. See what they did there? And that's here around the outer soles, right? The outside of the shoe, and that light material, but also it's like thick. When you feel it, like it's like cinching, right? So it hugs and keeps your foot nice and secure, particularly around that outsole area here and around these ankles, right? You need that protection. And it really is a nice shoe. Gabby, you mentioned the oversized tongue, the nod to the AJ5. As they said, how do you pay homage to the past while also still looking forward? And I love this little homage they do here with the AJ5 tongue. Another little cool, neat thing they have on the back is little cool Nike Air tag, right? That little cool, get that up close to the camera so y'all can see it. Really, really nice. Love that. And then the colorway. So Center of Gravity is interesting. And again, we're talking with the designers, and here's what they said. When you, and this is a little sneaker knowledge for those of you out there. The process, and Gabby, we love story and what goes into it. It's not as simple as just like, all right, let me slap some colors on here, cool, and then we're done. No.
Yep.
A tech pack goes out, right? And they see the shoe like this, Michael Jordan. And as you know, every sketch and shoe, he sees the sketch first before they even go to any level of production. And he has to be like, yes, I'm on board, or else you go back to the sketch artist and get back to the drawing board. Okay. So then they send the shoe out, and each piece of the shoe, the upper, the midsole, everywhere, has a different pattern and fabric on it. And then you look and say, what do we like? Oh, I like this. Maybe a little bit more of this. Maybe a little bit more Flightwire. Maybe a little bit less of this. So this design was inspired by that tech pack that they get, where it comes looking like patchwork. Like, think about if you were to get a suit or a piece of clothing made. That's how it looks, right? They do the half sleeve. It comes with these funny little patches on it. It's because the person's figuring out, how do we decide what piece of material looks good where? So they saw the tech pack and said, we could do something with this for a colorway. How about? So they said, okay, obviously this isn't exactly a tech pack, right? Because obviously you see the full solid gray. But they said, why don't we use that tech pack as our inspiration, which is why you have the various design looking things around the shoe, right? Like the Flightwire, the Eclipse Plate looking purple, right? The herringbone at the bottom. It's a lovely shoe. Jordan Brand really did a good job here. And they knew, because that 34 was really popular, and they said, you know what, we gotta ride that momentum and that wave. Because to your point, Gabby, a lot of like fans probably after 13, 14 were like meh when they were in the 20s, right? So this was they've really gotten themselves back on board with the 34, and then going forward with this 35. It's an excellent shoe. I'm a big fan of it. We got the 23, of course. Shout out to the GOAT. It's a great shoe. Nice job, Jordan Brand. We're fans of what you did there. And then my larger conversation, Gabby, I asked a question about you in particular, about women. And I said, so a lot of times the women I talk to talk about the fact that when the shoes go down in size, oftentimes they use less of the upscale material, right? Because they just do, right? And
even the shape's a little bit different. I mean, in the four, we've talked about this before. In the fours, that midsole, it's a different detail, a different shape. I mean, it's especially when you cross over from men's sizes to kids' sizes or grade school. So, yeah.
And so Jordan Brand said, going forward, all shoes are going to be made down to 3.5 exactly the same.
I love it.
No differences in material, anything, shape, none of that. Every single pair from whatever, the top 16, 17, 18, all the way down to 3.5, same. And I was like, ooh, Gabby's going to like that. That's great for women.
You know I'm here for it. And shouts to Jordan Brand. I feel like they've done such a great job of, especially within the past year, making strides to listen to their women fans and really hear them and take that feedback, whether it's early access to a release for limited people or just even making more women's styles that don't have the stereotypical women's detailing, like the pink, the sparkles. I just think they've done a great job, and this is another step too where I love this unisex colorway for this AJ35. For someone like me,
you rock these, right? For sure.
100%. I would rock those on and off the court. I think they're amazing. They're beautiful the way that they're done. You know, I love a good story behind the why. I think everything is really thought out, and if it's going to be functional on top of that, props to Jordan Brand for making something that's not just functional but also fashionable.
So on that note, I asked VP of Footwear Gentry Humphrey about this specifically. I said, look, what's the evolution of your women's brand? Because it's made some strides, but how are you going to go forward? And Gentry said what we all know about Jordan Brand sneakers. Performance is the first thing. That's number one. Once we have that, I said, okay, now he's like, so we talk to people like Kia Nurse and we say, WNBA player, we say, okay, Kia, what would make this shoe aesthetically pleasing to you? And what is your story behind why you want these particular colors or this particular mesh or this particular piece of fabric here or there? And they're incorporating that more into the design. So you're getting that story behind, particularly when they do the shoes. And I love that because getting Kia Nurse and some of the other women players' perspectives are great. And Gentry also talked about the fact that they are doing something with Billie Eilish coming out soon. Ooh. Yes. So again, another woman. Again, obviously she's a pop performer, so high profile. And again, I said to Gentry, and I was talking about you, Gabby, in particular. I said we don't want pink or purple. But although sometimes, you might like pink. He's like, Jason Tatum loves pink. He's like, yeah, but he's like, I think pink and purple are unisex colors, and that's not what we're doing. We want to find out from these women directly, what is it about this that you actually want, and what's the story you want to tell? And I love that, particularly for you. It's why I asked the question.
I appreciate that. And especially, going with the theme of this week's episode with Jason, I rocked my Liberty shirt for him because we worked together in the Liberty and other sports properties, but Kia Nurse, I'm sure you know this, was drafted to the Liberty. So she's been doing some hands-on work with the Jordan Brand team about different styles and the why and what it means to her. And she does a specific pair, which I don't want to say too much about because I'm sure we'll talk about it more once more imagery gets released for an upcoming episode. But the stuff that she's doing for the nod for the Liberty and the storytelling behind it, I think is what makes it most interesting. And you know what? If the storytelling matches up and something is pink or purple and it makes sense, I'm all for it. So shout to Jordan Brand for doing that, and love that you call out Kia Nurse because I've been a fan of her since she joined the league. So lots of dope stuff.
Listen, I'm here to help you out and let you know. But no, I wanted to ask Jordan Brand about that because I was like, look, this is something that we talk about all the time, and I want to make it clear that like we support, and Jordan Brand, Gentry Humphrey said this, like the women's category and that expanding is like top priority. So it's not just paying lip service to it; they're actually doing it. I mean, we know they also collaborated with Aleli May earlier this year as well on Air Jordan 1 and 6. Now, Alicia Keys was recently on one of the Complex sneaker shows. We have a long way to go, right? Like this isn't like, oh, we got one and we're good, but they're finally like putting their actions where their talk was, but they're doing it. Okay, here we are. We're telling you we believe in it and we're pushing it forward. And I can't wait to see what they come out with in the women's category going forward.
Agreed. And we actually talked a little bit about this with some of our ladies on our last live that we did about Kicks and Conversations. So it's something that there's definitely a market for, and I'm happy to hear that Jordan Brand is recognizing that and championing those women's like Aleli and like Melody Asani to see those collabs, to see those kicks, maybe even on silhouettes that aren't traditionally ones that females go for. Like, and maybe they are, but the 6, a classic silhouette in that millennial pink colorway, those are fire. I mean, her satins that look in the black and silver, the satin ones, amazing. So I'm excited to see all the good stuff that I know Jordan Brand is ideating over there.
No doubt. So shouts to President Craig Williams over at Jordan Brand, Gentry Humphrey, the rest of the comms team, the footwear team, the designers, everybody. I mean, they're doing a hell of a job, and we love to support what they do. So kudos. AJ35 out October 17th. This is the Center of Gravity covered colorway. Make sure you guys check it out, and we'll see you next time. Peace.